Question 1. What is a key aspect of Indiana state statutes relevant to law enforcement duties? A. They are identical to federal laws. B. They only apply to residents of Indiana. C. They may include provisions specific to Indiana. D. They are primarily concerned with federal crimes. Correct answer. C. They may include provisions specific to Indiana. Explanation. Indiana state statutes may include provisions specific to the state, addressing unique legal, social, or geographical factors. These statutes are enacted by the Indiana General Assembly and govern various aspects of life within the state, including law enforcement procedures, criminal offenses, civil matters, and administrative regulations. Question 2. What role do law enforcement agencies play in the Indiana criminal justice system? A. Enforcing civil laws only. B. Adjudicating criminal cases. C. Investigating crimes and making arrests. D. Overseeing correctional facilities. Correct answer. C. Investigating crimes and making arrests. Explanation. Law enforcement agencies in Indiana play a crucial role in the criminal justice system by investigating crimes, apprehending suspects, and maintaining public safety. They are responsible for enforcing criminal laws, preserving evidence, and ensuring the fair administration of justice. By conducting thorough investigations and making lawful arrests, law enforcement agencies contribute to crime prevention, victim protection, and the prosecution of offenders. Question 3. What is a fundamental aspect of police procedures in Indiana? A. Acting without regard for suspects' rights. B. Ignoring evidence and facts. C. Following standard operating procedures. D. Prioritizing personal biases. Correct answer. C. Following standard operating procedures. Explanation. Police procedures in Indiana involve following standard operating procedures, SOPs, for various law enforcement tasks such as conducting investigations, making arrests, and handling evidence. SOPs provide guidelines and protocols for officers to follow, ensuring consistency, professionalism, and adherence to legal standards. By adhering to established procedures, officers can conduct their duties effectively, minimize errors, and safeguard the rights of all individuals involved. Question 4. Under what circumstances is the use of force justified for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To punish individuals for minor infractions. B. To escalate conflicts and confrontations. C. To protect themselves or others from imminent harm. D. To intimidate suspects into compliance. Correct answer. C. To protect themselves or others from imminent harm. Explanation. The use of force by law enforcement officers in Indiana is justified when necessary to protect themselves or others from imminent harm. Officers are trained to assess the level of threat posed in a given situation and to respond with an appropriate level of force to neutralize the threat and ensure public safety. Force should only be used as a last resort when all other reasonable alternatives have been exhausted. Question 5. What techniques can law enforcement officers use to de-escalate crisis situations in Indiana? A. Aggressive confrontation and intimidation. B. Active listening and empathy. C. Ignoring individuals' emotional distress. D. Using excessive force to gain compliance. Correct answer. B. Active listening and empathy. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Indiana can use techniques such as active listening and empathy to de-escalate crisis situations. By demonstrating empathy, understanding, and patience, officers can establish rapport, reduce tension, and encourage individuals to cooperate and resolve conflicts peacefully. Active listening involves paying attention to individuals' concerns, emotions, and needs, which can help diffuse volatile situations and prevent escalation. Question 6. How can law enforcement agencies in Indiana promote trust and collaboration with the community? A. By acting in isolation and secrecy. B. By prioritizing enforcement actions over community engagement. C. By actively involving community members in decision-making processes. D. By using intimidation tactics to maintain control. Correct answer: C. By actively involving community members in decision-making processes. Explanation: law enforcement agencies in Indiana can promote trust and collaboration with the community by actively involving community members in decision-making processes. Community engagement initiatives, such as advisory boards, town hall meetings, and community policing programs, provide opportunities for residents to voice their concerns, provide input on policies, and collaborate with law enforcement in addressing local issues. By fostering transparency, inclusivity, and partnership, agencies can build stronger relationships with the community and enhance public safety outcomes. Question 7. Why is integrity important for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To facilitate corruption and misconduct. B. To prioritize personal gain over public safety. C. To maintain public trust and confidence. D. To discriminate against certain groups. Correct answer: C. To maintain public trust and confidence. Explanation: integrity is important for law enforcement officers in Indiana to maintain public trust and confidence in the criminal justice system. Officers are expected to adhere to high ethical standards and codes of conduct, demonstrating honesty, fairness, and accountability in their interactions with the community. By acting with integrity, officers uphold the integrity of the profession, promote transparency, and safeguard the rights and interests of all individuals they serve. Question 8. Why is cultural sensitivity important for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To impose uniformity and conformity. B. To ignore the diverse needs of the community. C. To build trust and rapport with diverse populations. D. To discriminate against individuals from different cultural backgrounds. Correct answer: C. To build trust and rapport with diverse populations. Explanation: cultural sensitivity is important for law enforcement officers in Indiana to build trust and rapport with diverse populations. Indiana is home to people from various cultural, ethnic, and religious backgrounds, each with their own customs, values, and communication styles. By demonstrating respect, understanding, and appreciation for cultural differences, officers can establish positive relationships, improve communication, and address community concerns more effectively. Cultural sensitivity enhances officers' ability to serve and protect all members of the community impartially and professionally. Question 9. How do law enforcement agencies in Indiana coordinate with other emergency services during critical incidents? A. By refusing to collaborate with other agencies. B. By prioritizing jurisdictional disputes over public safety. C. By establishing unified command structures and communication protocols. D. By withholding essential information from partner agencies. Correct answer: C. By establishing unified command structures and communication protocols. Explanation: law enforcement agencies in Indiana coordinate with other emergency services during critical incidents by establishing unified command structures and communication protocols. Unified command ensures coordinated decision-making, resource allocation, and response efforts among multiple agencies involved in managing complex emergencies. Effective communication, collaboration, and information sharing enhance situational awareness, facilitate timely decision-making, and optimize the use of resources to protect lives and property. By working together seamlessly, agencies can provide a unified and coordinated response to critical incidents, safeguarding public safety and minimizing harm. Question 10. Why is accurate report writing important for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To conceal information and distort facts. B. To prioritize personal opinions over objective observations. C. To document incidents, investigations, and legal proceedings. D. To avoid accountability and transparency. Correct answer. C. To document incidents, investigations, and legal proceedings. Explanation. Accurate report writing is important for law enforcement officers in Indiana to document incidents, investigations, and legal proceedings accurately and objectively. Reports serve as official records of law enforcement activities, providing essential documentation for criminal cases, court proceedings, and administrative purposes. Detailed and accurate reporting ensures the preservation of evidence, the protection of constitutional rights, and the fair administration of justice. By documenting facts, observations, and actions taken, officers create a reliable and transparent record of their activities, contributing to accountability, professionalism, and public trust in law enforcement. Question 11. What is the purpose of search and seizure laws in Indiana? A. To grant law enforcement unlimited authority to conduct searches. B. To protect individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures. C. To allow officers to confiscate property without cause. D. To restrict access to public records. Correct answer. B. To protect individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures. Explanation. Search and seizure laws in Indiana, consistent with the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, aim to protect individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures by law enforcement. These laws establish guidelines and limitations on when, where, and how officers can conduct searches and seize property, ensuring that such actions are lawful, justified, and conducted with respect for individuals' rights to privacy and due process. Question 12. What is the role of courts in the Indiana criminal justice system? A. To enforce laws through proactive policing. B. To oversee correctional facilities. C. To adjudicate criminal cases and administer justice. D. To investigate crimes and make arrests. Correct answer. C. To adjudicate criminal cases and administer justice. Explanation. Courts in the Indiana criminal justice system play a vital role in adjudicating criminal cases and administering justice. They serve as impartial forums for resolving legal disputes, interpreting laws, and ensuring due process for defendants. Judges and juries evaluate evidence, apply relevant statutes and precedents, and render verdicts and sentences in accordance with the law. Through fair and transparent proceedings, courts uphold the rule of law, protect individual rights, and promote public confidence in the justice system. Question 13. What should officers prioritize when interacting with suspects during an investigation? A. Presumption of guilt. B. Respect for constitutional rights. C. Use of intimidation tactics. D. Expediency over accuracy. Correct answer. B. Respect for constitutional rights. Explanation. When interacting with suspects during an investigation, officers should prioritize respect for constitutional rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to legal counsel, and the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. Upholding these rights ensures that investigations are conducted lawfully, ethically, and in accordance with due process. By respecting suspects' rights, officers demonstrate professionalism, fairness, and adherence to legal standards, which enhances the credibility and integrity of law enforcement operations. Question 14. What principle guides the use of force by law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. Excessive force is always justified. B. Force should be used as a first resort. C. Force should be proportional and necessary. D. Officers are immune from liability for use of force. Correct answer. C. Force should be proportional and necessary. Explanation. The principle guiding the use of force by law enforcement officers in Indiana is that force should be proportional and necessary to address the level of resistance or threat encountered. Officers are trained to assess the totality of circumstances, evaluate the level of risk posed, and respond with an appropriate level of force to achieve lawful objectives while minimizing harm. Force should be used as a last resort when other reasonable options have been exhausted, and it should be proportional to the threat posed, considering factors such as the severity of the offense and the safety of all individuals involved. Question 15. What is the primary goal of crisis intervention techniques in Indiana? A. To escalate conflicts and confrontations. B. To avoid addressing individuals' emotional distress. C. To resolve crises peacefully and prevent harm. D. To disregard individuals' rights and dignity. Correct answer. C. To resolve crises peacefully and prevent harm. Explanation. The primary goal of crisis intervention techniques in Indiana is to resolve crises peacefully and prevent harm to individuals involved, including law enforcement officers, suspects, victims, and bystanders. Crisis intervention focuses on de-escalating tense situations, managing emotions, and promoting constructive communication to reach a peaceful resolution. By diffusing conflicts, addressing underlying issues, and providing support and resources, officers can help individuals in crisis regain stability and prevent escalation into violence or harm. Question 16. How can law enforcement agencies in Indiana address community concerns through proactive engagement? A. By ignoring community input and feedback. B. By imposing unilateral decisions without consultation. C. By actively soliciting input and collaborating with community members. D. By intimidating community members into compliance. Correct answer. C. By actively soliciting input and collaborating with community members. Explanation. Law enforcement agencies in Indiana can address community concerns through proactive engagement by actively soliciting input and collaborating with community members. Proactive engagement initiatives, such as community meetings, surveys, neighborhood patrols, and problem-solving partnerships, provide opportunities for residents to voice their concerns, identify priorities, and collaborate with law enforcement in finding solutions to local issues. By fostering transparency, trust, and partnership, agencies can build stronger relationships with the community, enhance public safety, and improve quality of life for all residents. Question 17. What is the significance of accountability in law enforcement ethics? A. To enable misconduct and corruption. B. To prioritize personal interests over public trust. C. To maintain transparency and trust with the public. D. To discriminate against certain individuals. Correct answer. C. To maintain transparency and trust with the public. Explanation. Accountability is significant in law enforcement ethics to maintain transparency and trust with the public. Officers are accountable for their actions, decisions, and conduct both on and off duty. Accountability promotes integrity, professionalism, and adherence to ethical standards by ensuring that officers are held responsible for upholding the law, respecting individual rights, and serving the community with fairness and impartiality. By holding themselves accountable and being subject to oversight mechanisms, officers demonstrate their commitment to serving the public interest and upholding the principles of democracy and justice. Question 18. How can law enforcement officers demonstrate cultural sensitivity in their interactions with diverse populations in Indiana? A. By imposing their own cultural norms and values. B. By disregarding individuals' cultural backgrounds. C. By respecting cultural differences and adapting communication styles. D. By discriminating against certain cultural groups. Correct answer. C. By respecting cultural differences and adapting communication styles. Explanation. Law enforcement officers can demonstrate cultural sensitivity in their interactions with diverse populations in Indiana by respecting cultural differences and adapting their communication styles accordingly. This involves recognizing and valuing individuals' cultural backgrounds, beliefs, and practices, and adjusting communication approaches to be respectful, inclusive, and effective across cultural boundaries. By engaging in culturally competent communication, officers can build trust, reduce misunderstandings, and enhance cooperation with diverse communities, ultimately improving the quality of law enforcement services and promoting social harmony. Question 19. Why is effective coordination essential during emergency response operations in Indiana? A. To create chaos and confusion. B. To prioritize individual agency interests over public safety. C. To ensure timely and efficient allocation of resources. D. To delay response efforts and exacerbate emergencies. Correct answer: C. To ensure timely and efficient allocation of resources. Explanation: effective coordination is essential during emergency response operations in Indiana to ensure timely and efficient allocation of resources and maximize the effectiveness of response efforts. Emergency situations often require collaboration among multiple agencies, including law enforcement, fire departments, medical services, and government agencies, to address complex challenges and mitigate risks to public safety. By coordinating communication, resource deployment, and decision-making processes, agencies can streamline response efforts, minimize duplication of tasks, and optimize the use of available resources to protect lives, property, and infrastructure. Question 20. What is the purpose of accurate and thorough documentation in law enforcement? A. To create confusion and obfuscate facts. B. To conceal misconduct and wrongdoing. C. To maintain reliable records for legal and administrative purposes. D. To avoid accountability and transparency. Correct answer: C. To maintain reliable records for legal and administrative purposes. Explanation: the purpose of accurate and thorough documentation in law enforcement is to maintain reliable records for legal and administrative purposes. Reports, records, and documentation serve as official records of law enforcement activities, providing essential documentation for criminal investigations, court proceedings, administrative reviews, and internal accountability mechanisms. Accurate documentation ensures the preservation of evidence, the protection of constitutional rights, and the fair administration of justice. By documenting facts, observations, actions taken, and outcomes achieved, officers create a transparent and accountable record of their activities, contributing to professionalism, integrity, and public trust in law enforcement. Question 21. What is the purpose of ongoing physical fitness training for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To prioritize appearance over job performance. B. To maintain a competitive advantage over civilians. C. To ensure officers are prepared for the physical demands of the job. D. To discourage officers from seeking medical assistance. Correct answer: C. To ensure officers are prepared for the physical demands of the job. Explanation: ongoing physical fitness training for law enforcement officers in Indiana is essential to ensure officers are prepared for the physical demands of the job. Police work often involves tasks such as foot pursuits, defensive tactics, and responding to emergencies, all of which require a high level of physical fitness. Regular training helps officers maintain strength, endurance, and agility, reducing the risk of injury and enhancing operational effectiveness. By prioritizing physical fitness, agencies promote officer safety, job performance, and overall wellness, contributing to a professional and capable law enforcement workforce. Question 22. Why is critical thinking important for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To blindly follow orders without question. B. To make impulsive decisions without considering consequences. C. To analyze complex situations and make informed decisions under pressure. D. To avoid taking responsibility for their actions. Correct answer: C. To analyze complex situations and make informed decisions under pressure. Explanation: critical thinking is important for law enforcement officers in Indiana to analyze complex situations and make informed decisions under pressure. Officers encounter diverse challenges and dynamic scenarios in their daily duties, requiring them to assess risks, evaluate information, and respond effectively to rapidly changing circumstances. By applying critical thinking skills, officers can identify problems, consider multiple perspectives, and choose appropriate courses of action that align with legal and ethical standards. Critical thinking promotes sound judgment, problem solving, and adaptability, enhancing officers' ability to uphold public safety and serve the community with professionalism and integrity. Question 23. How can effective communication skills enhance law enforcement interactions with individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing in Indiana? A. By ignoring their communication needs. B. By relying solely on verbal communication. C. By using clear, visual cues and alternative communication methods. D. By speaking louder and more slowly. Correct answer. C. By using clear, visual cues and alternative communication methods. Explanation. Effective communication skills can enhance law enforcement interactions with individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing in Indiana by using clear, visual cues and alternative communication methods. Officers should be trained in techniques such as American Sign Language, ASL, written communication, and use of gestures or visual aids to facilitate effective communication with individuals who may have difficulty hearing or understanding verbal commands. By employing inclusive communication strategies, officers can ensure that individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing are fully informed, engaged, and able to exercise their rights during interactions with law enforcement. Question 24. What is the exclusionary rule in the context of criminal procedure in Indiana? A. The rule that prohibits law enforcement officers from testifying in court. B. The rule that allows evidence obtained through illegal searches or seizures to be admitted in court. C. The rule that requires law enforcement officers to obtain a warrant for all searches and seizures. D. The rule that mandates immediate release of suspects without charges. Correct answer. B. The rule that allows evidence obtained through illegal searches or seizures to be admitted in court. Explanation. The exclusionary rule, in the context of criminal procedure in Indiana, is the rule that prohibits the admission of evidence obtained through illegal searches or seizures in court proceedings. Under this rule, evidence obtained in violation of an individual's constitutional rights, such as the Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches and seizures, is excluded from trial to deter law enforcement misconduct and safeguard individual rights. The exclusionary rule aims to uphold the integrity of the judicial process, protect against unlawful government intrusion, and promote respect for constitutional principles of privacy and due process. Question 25. How does the use of body-worn cameras benefit law enforcement operations in Indiana? A. By allowing officers to engage in unauthorized surveillance. B. By providing transparency and accountability in interactions with the public. C. By compromising the privacy rights of individuals. D. By obstructing officers' ability to perform their duties. Correct answer. B. By providing transparency and accountability in interactions with the public. Explanation. The use of body-worn cameras benefits law enforcement operations in Indiana by providing transparency and accountability in interactions with the public. Body-worn cameras capture audio and video recordings of law enforcement encounters, documenting the actions of officers and members of the public during interactions such as arrests, traffic stops, and interviews. These recordings serve as objective evidence of events, enhancing transparency, promoting officer accountability, and building public trust. Body-worn cameras can also provide valuable insights for training, evaluation, and review of law enforcement practices, ultimately improving professionalism and enhancing the quality of law enforcement services. Question 26. How might the geographical characteristics of rural areas in Indiana influence law enforcement operations? A. By providing easy access to resources and support services. B. By increasing response times to emergency calls. C. By reducing the need for community engagement initiatives. D. by limiting exposure to environmental hazards. Correct answer. B. By increasing response times to emergency calls. Explanation. The geographical characteristics of rural areas in Indiana may influence law enforcement operations by increasing response times to emergency calls. Rural areas often have vast geographic expanses, limited infrastructure, and sparse population densities, resulting in longer travel distances and response times for law enforcement officers. Responding to emergencies in rural areas may require navigating winding roads, rugged terrain, and remote locations, posing logistical challenges and delays in reaching incident scenes. To address these challenges, law enforcement agencies in rural areas may implement strategies such as satellite offices, mutual aid agreements, and technology-based solutions to optimize response times and ensure timely assistance to residents in need. Question 27. How can law enforcement agencies in Indiana collaborate with community stakeholders to address substance abuse issues? A. By conducting aggressive enforcement actions without community input. B. By stigmatizing individuals struggling with substance abuse. C. By partnering with local organizations to provide prevention, treatment, and recovery support services. D. By ignoring the root causes of substance abuse in the community. Correct answer. C. By partnering with local organizations to provide prevention, treatment, and recovery support services. Explanation. Law enforcement agencies in Indiana can collaborate with community stakeholders to address substance abuse issues by partnering with local organizations to provide prevention, treatment, and recovery support services. Substance abuse is a complex public health issue that requires a multifaceted approach involving law enforcement, healthcare providers, social services, and community organizations. By fostering partnerships and leveraging resources, agencies can implement evidence-based strategies such as community education, prevention programs, diversion initiatives, and access to treatment and support services. Collaborative efforts aim to reduce substance abuse, improve public health outcomes, and enhance community safety by addressing the underlying factors contributing to addiction and supporting individuals in recovery. Question 28. What is the primary purpose of conducting traffic enforcement in Indiana? A. To generate revenue for law enforcement agencies. B. To promote public safety and reduce the risk of traffic accidents. C. To intimidate and harass motorists. D. To meet arbitrary citation quotas. Correct answer. B. To promote public safety and reduce the risk of traffic accidents. Explanation. The primary purpose of conducting traffic enforcement in Indiana is to promote public safety and reduce the risk of traffic accidents. Traffic enforcement initiatives aim to ensure compliance with traffic laws, prevent dangerous driving behaviors, and deter violations that contribute to crashes, injuries, and fatalities on roadways. By enforcing speed limits, seatbelt laws, impaired driving statutes, and other traffic regulations, law enforcement agencies seek to create safer driving environments, protect vulnerable road users, and minimize the impact of traffic-related incidents on public health and well-being. Traffic enforcement efforts are rooted in the principles of deterrence, education, and proactive intervention to address risk factors and improve overall traffic safety outcomes. Question 29. Why is ongoing firearms training important for law enforcement officers in Indiana? A. To promote reckless firearm use and misuse. B. To increase the likelihood of accidental discharge incidents. C. To maintain proficiency and ensure safe handling of firearms. D. To discourage officers from carrying firearms. Correct answer. C. To maintain proficiency and ensure safe handling of firearms. Explanation. Ongoing firearms training is important for law enforcement officers in Indiana to maintain proficiency and ensure safe handling of firearms. Firearms are critical tools used by officers to protect themselves and others in high-risk situations, and proficiency with firearms is essential for effective law enforcement operations. Regular training allows officers to practice marksmanship skills, weapon handling techniques, and tactical decision-making in controlled environments, reducing the risk of accidents, errors, and misuse of firearms. Additionally, ongoing training promotes firearm safety, reinforces agency policies and protocols, and enhances officers' confidence and readiness to respond to threats with appropriate levels of force. By prioritizing firearms training, agencies promote officer safety, public trust, and professional standards in law enforcement. Question 30. How can law enforcement agencies in Indiana build trust and collaboration with diverse communities? A. By implementing discriminatory practices and biased policing tactics. B. By disregarding community input and concerns. C. By fostering open dialogue, cultural understanding, and collaborative problem-solving. D. By isolating themselves from community members and stakeholders. Correct answer. C. By fostering open dialogue, cultural understanding, and collaborative problem-solving. Explanation. Law enforcement agencies in Indiana can build trust and collaboration with diverse communities by fostering open dialogue, cultural understanding, and collaborative problem-solving. Community policing emphasizes partnerships between law enforcement agencies and community members to address public safety concerns, prevent crime, and improve quality of life. Agencies can engage with residents, community leaders, and stakeholders through community meetings, advisory boards, neighborhood patrols, and outreach events to build relationships, listen to concerns, and co-develop solutions tailored to local needs. By embracing inclusivity, transparency, and accountability, agencies can enhance community trust, reduce social barriers, and cultivate shared responsibility for public safety, ultimately strengthening the fabric of communities and promoting positive police-community relations.